The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
Today's world news, what it means, where it's taking us.
I bring you the one and only possible message of world peace.
This is a message of hope, tremendous hope. And he said unto me, you must prophesy again.
The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
Overnight chaos erupting in the streets of Los Angeles as protesters and police clashed.
After days of raids, riots, and demonstrations.
Many hundreds descending on the 101 freeway, blocking traffic in both directions. Earlier Sunday, demonstrators swarming LA's Federal Building, hundreds of LAPD officers responding. The streets littered with debris and broken glass.
In nearby Compton, chaos. Protests there dissolving into lawlessness. Demonstrators upending roadblocks, setting off fireworks. While a small group of looters broke into a gas station. And a rare move by President Trump, mobilizing 2,000 California National Guard troops against the will of the state's governor.
This is the first time since 1965 that a president has ordered troops in over the objections of the governor.
They didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis.
Multiple vehicles set on fire, covered in graffiti condemning ICE.
If we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
The president calling Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass incompetent.
I call on all Angelenos to continue expressing your right, your anger, your outrage, but to do it peacefully.
California Democrats like Kamala Harris, Mayor Karen Bass, and Governor Newsom are blaming the Trump administration for the chaos.
When you have got ICE in Los Angeles showing up reportedly at Home Depot, where many undocumented people go, when you've got ICE showing up outside of places like schools, it quite literally is striking fear into the heart of people all throughout this community. People in Los Angeles are mobilizing, and they are very upset.
Oh, they're coming out, they're coming out. Watch out.
So there's unrest. Let's start with there's protest, lawful protest, which is allowed in this country. There is some unrest, generally dealt with by local law enforcement, and if there needs to be state support through state police, and sometimes even National Guard under a governor's authority. What is happening tonight is unprecedented.
So now we quickly switch back to mostly peaceful and lawful protests. This is entirely law. And then there's just a few agitators. None of that for January 6th. No. We're back to 2020, the summer of love, when all of these violent rioters, even ones that are illegal and waving Mexican flags, they're just carrying out their constitutional rights. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We appreciate you joining us on today's show, a big show. We've got a lot to report on from our performance, Celtic Throne, in Tel Aviv, Israel last night. I'll come to that in just a second. First, you can get to the live video stream of this show at trumpetdaily.com or at the Rumble channel. Just go to rumble.com/Trumpet Daily. So yesterday, or last night, Tel Aviv time, I guess it was yesterday in the afternoon for us, as my wife and I and my father and his wife we were all huddled around this computer watching the FaceTime performance, tiny little image, as we were watching the Celtic Throne troupe perform in front of 1,960 people. At least we sold that many tickets. I think a little over 1,900 showed out for the show. The biggest audience that we've ever had there in Tel Aviv. There's actually a 2-night show. We're having another one tonight. I think the ticket sales thus far are around 1,200. So when it's all said and done, to have 3,100 people or so coming from just one city, I mean, that's a new record for this group, for this work. And it's a wonderful message, as many of the audience members were saying after the show last night. It's nice to see, quite unlike some of the other Irish dance shows, where there's plenty of skill, a lot of professional dancers, but not an inspiring, uplifting story, not like the one that we have, whether it's Celtic Throne 1 or the second one. And when you think about just the contrast, that's what stood out over the weekend, as you see 3-4 nights of violent protests in Los Angeles. I mean, we're just used to it. It happens all the time. And then you've got the regime media there to tell you that it's mostly peaceful. I'll play you a clip in just a minute. Exactly the same kind of reporting or coverage as in the Summer of Love. Standing in front of a burning building in the case of 2020 and telling you, don't believe your lying eyes. This is just a peaceful protest. Just a little bit of unrest. A little bit of unrest. But look at the pictures. Look at the flags that were waving, and then consider the flags they were burning. Tells you all you need to know, right? But what a contrast with what God's work is producing. My father said, you see God's beautiful house behind me in that image. And as that was going up, they broke ground on it in 2010. We had all the plans drawn up in 2007, 2008, I believe. And the point my father made at that time is that as you see this house, this beautiful, glorious house that brings glory to God, as you see that going up, you're going to see conditions in this world going down. Perilous times are coming. This is from a coworker letter in February of 2008, where my father said God's house is going up rapidly as America, Britain, and Judah, or Little Israel, are falling even faster. He says it's truly amazing how world events are so closely tied to God's house. As you see God's work ascendant in these last days, we're seeing America, we're seeing Britain, we're seeing little Judah in the Middle East, just besought with so many problems and trials and tests. I mean, one of the things that so many Israelis have been telling our performers, they had a big promotional on Friday in Tel Aviv at a big mall and then at the beach. And Israelis are coming up to them just saying, thanks for coming, because everyone else in the world hates Israel. Everyone else in the world is saying this is a war zone. Everyone else in the world is saying that we're committing genocide, which is exactly what Hamas did on October 7. They just went in and tried to kill as many Jews as they could. And if they could have killed 12,000, or if they could have killed 120,000, they would have. Because they're out to just kill Jews. And how twisted and perverted is it to then turn around and say, no, it's the Jews trying to just randomly kill as many Palestinians as possible. No, they're trying to destroy a terrorist organization that keeps wanting to kill more Jews and has shown no repentance. And so Israelis are understandably happy. We had one concert goer last night say, I saw you on the schedule the last couple of months, and I just thought, well, when will they pull out? When will they cancel their tour? It's very sad to see the state of this world, to see the conditions of this world. This is what someone emailed after the show last evening. Tonight in Tel Aviv was a magical, gentle, and powerful evening. What a beautiful story you told us. My 92-year-old mother loved it. What a magnificent, grandiose show on stage and screen. You were all fantastic, young and old alike. I asked the director where I could buy your t-shirts. He was ready to give me his. How adorable. Thank you for coming to Israel. Thank you for coming to Israel. Israel, just appreciative of a friend, someone that would come to Israel and perform such an uplifting, inspiring show that tells such a beautiful story. I mean, an actual beautiful story, not one where you stand in front of burning buildings and say, yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah, this is peaceful. Or you force this monstrosity through Congress that's just going to add trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of debt to our children's generation and say, well, it's beautiful. It's just wonderful. No, you look at the fruits. You look at the fruits of God's programs, God's work, and you actually do see true beauty and peace. I mean, that's one of the fruits of God's Spirit. Peace. God is a God of unity and peace and love, and you don't see any of that in this world, except in God's church, because this is Satan's world. And look at what Satan is producing. Today it's LA. What will it be next week? What community, what city is going to go up in flames because of Satan's influence? Because of the spirit of violence and strife and bitterness? The spirit of murder, the spirit of war. It's everywhere. It permeates the air. You can see why what God is starting in a mustard seed level beginning. You can see why it's so important, because soon it will spread over all the earth. We gathered some footage of some of those promotions on Friday, and then a little bit from the end of the show last night, where you can see the audience reaction. You can go ahead and play the montage. One of the audience members after the show told one of our dancers that make sure you savor the applause there at the end. Some of them standing up, because Israelis don't give a standing ovation for many performances. But this one they really did appreciate. Thank you for coming to Israel. Well, as I say, what a contrast to what you see in this world. I gave you that quote from 2008. God's house is going up rapidly as America, Britain, and Judah are falling even faster. 9 months after my father wrote that, Barack Obama, the dear leader, came in for the first time promising, vowing to fundamentally transform the United States of America. That was in 2008, his inauguration in 2009. And look at what's happened since. I mean, America was very nearly blotted out. God had to intervene just to save the name of Israel from being blotted out. And yet God is still pleading with our peoples, with our nations. He's pleading with us, for us, to repent, to turn to Him in repentance and faith. In 2020, my father said this. Again, this has been a recurring theme in some of his writings over the years. He said, in many ways, as the world declines, God has been blessing us, encouraging and inspiring us even more. And he mentioned later, he talked about Celtic Throne, the first performance that started in 2020. And he said, this was a beautiful gift from God to uplift us in these difficult times and to keep our vision soaring. We need to be uplifted in these difficult times. I mean, how could you even imagine foreign invaders, and that's what they are, ICE is going in there and they're arresting criminals, murderers, rapists. And people are protesting this. And a lot of them are illegals, waving Mexican flags or waving foreign flags, chanting Allah Akbar. It's happening in the United States. And then you have the reporters in fine suits with trimmed beards, if they have one. You have the reporters saying, this is just, I mean, people are just having some fun. And it's mostly peaceful. What other nation behaves like this? We've got some big problems. We talk about it a lot on this show. And yet we're also the happiest people on earth. Because God's truth, God's purpose, God's plan, it keeps our vision soaring. We have to be people of vision. Proverbs 29:18. We have to see the end. We have to see the hope in the return of Jesus Christ. In my father's booklet on Haggai, if you don't have that one, I haven't plugged that in quite some time, but call our operators today and request your free copy of this little booklet. We've got an 800 number. You can get it at our website, thetrumpet.com. But he says here, God is shaking the nations as a witness against them and to wake more people up. But he is also giving his very elect peace. There's only one place on earth where there is a powerful symbol of hope. That one place is our auditorium, which we call God's house, because that is what it is. It's filled with hope and peace. As I say, that's the image we put as a backdrop for this program. It's a house of peace. God's house. And that's like home court for Celtic Throne. When Celtic Throne finishes or starts a tour, this is where it generally begins and ends. Well, at least it always begins in God's house. The tour this year finishes off in the UK. That's in a couple of weeks. But it says here, this house is filled with hope and peace. The joy and the peace are here and will soon fill the earth. We have the greatest honor of anybody on earth to be able to get this message of hope out while this world crumbles. You see, the same message, a similar message to those other ones from those coworker letters. As the world crumbles, as the world descends into chaos and violence, God's work is ascending to greatness, to peace, to worldwide peace and joy. And that's what so many of us are a part of. What a wonderful blessing and privilege it is to be able to get behind and to support God's work and to do it with enthusiasm and to do it with joy and to keep our vision soaring like God wants it to be. He says in the Gospels, Jesus said, lift up your eyes, lift up your heads. Look at this universe. Who made it? Why did God make it? What's it for? Well, dig into some of Mr. Armstrong's writings. Herbert Armstrong, Mystery of the Ages, the incredible human potential. What is man's potential? Why are we right now confined to this earth? And what's God's purpose for all that is beyond this earth? I mean, that will set your imagination on fire. That will keep your vision soaring, for sure. But when I forget the exact quote, my father talked about one of those astronauts that went to the moon. And from the moon, you look back on Earth, and it looks so peaceful. It looks like it's a beautiful, peaceful, joyous place. But then you zoom in on the Earth, and what do you see? You see the streets of Los Angeles. There was a cartoon going around social media yesterday. A nice couple walking through Skid Row in Los Angeles, all these drug addicts and criminals, no doubt, lining the streets, laying on the pavement, and the man telling his wife, well, but I mean, it is a beautiful day out. There is nice weather. So much filth, so much lawlessness, so much disorder. God is not the author of these things. 1 Corinthians 14 says that God's the author of unity and peace and order. You look at this world, as you saw there in the cold open, and you see it's anything but unified and peaceful. Listen to one talking head as he describes the lawful protests in Southern California. Clip 9.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
Oh, okay. They're just I can't even count how many times in my life that I've gone out to watch a car burn because it's so fun. We're going to burn Jesse's car, Sam and I, after the show today, because it's so enjoyable. It's so fun. I mean, how do these people make statements such as that? And how does anyone take them serious? It's just like the comment in 2020. Yeah, look behind me. It's mostly peaceful. The building was literally going up in flames. What is wrong with these people? Yeah, it's lawful. They're lawful protest. I mean, there's a little bit of a violent element, I guess. And how rich, by the way, is it of these talking heads to say, after all they said about January 6th, the whole group was lawless and violent, and they were trying to overthrow the government. And you got some accurate reporting on this show where we said there actually were FBI plants and then also some Antifa elements in that grouping. And now to hear them say, well, but it's mostly peaceful. It's just a bunch of kids having fun. But there's a few violent elements. You see, they didn't report it that way on January 6th. No. Because that in their minds, according to their narrative, according to their political persuasion, and the other thing about January 6th, by the way, is they got a permit to protest there lawfully. And then it turned a little violent here and there. Why? Well, the media didn't want to get into the FBI element or the Antifa element. And so they just said the whole movement. They were trying to take over the government. I mean, didn't you see the guy that grabbed Nancy Pelosi's podium? It's unbelievable. What are these? I was thinking this morning, how are they going to report the Great Tribulation, these people? Are nuclear bombs going to be exploding? And they're saying, for the most part, this is a nice, benevolent act from Germany. We feel like this is mostly peaceful. You can see why. And there's passages of the Bible that talk about how important it is to go through periods of suffering and pain just so that we can learn to draw near to God. God says to just glory in trials and tests. If it brings you closer to God, that's all that matters. But when it's times of relative prosperity, when we've been spoiled, when we've got all the gadgets, when we can get all these handouts for free, when we can basically do nothing as far as contributing to the betterment of society, people think that's the happy and joyous way, but it just makes people more miserable and more selfish and more greedy. What a sad world. They're just a bunch of protesters having fun, watching cars burn. Yeah, everybody does it. That was news reporting from Southern California. How embarrassing and shameful is that? You can listen to that bit again and more in this montage, number 8.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
Los Angeles police said Saturday's demonstrations remained peaceful.
Most of the crowds, again, that I saw, that I spoke to, that I was interacting with, these are peaceful people that want to get their message across.
The vast majority of these actions have been peaceful, and that there are lots of folks just trying to be heard on the streets in and around L.A.
You have a number of, it appears, peaceful protesters. We didn't see any weapons or sticks or anything.
So far, everything here is peaceful. Some peaceful demonstrators.
People are demonstrating, and there's a lot of peaceful demonstration, but there are people that obviously are just upset.
This didn't start as a fight between the LAPD and the protesters. This has been escalated with the activation of the National Guard. You point out the National Guard is not roaming the streets of LA right now, but the idea that they're there at the behest of the president has inflamed passions.
It didn't really reach this point of the scale and the intensity of this protest and the scale and the intensity of the confrontation between protesters and law enforcement until National Guard troops were deployed here today. That very much poured gasoline on the flames.
My disappointment is I've been talking to the federal government for days. I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the administration that if they deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles, it would create a sense of chaos. We do not need to see our city torn apart. And the idea that the federal government that should be assisting us is a contributing factor, I think is very tragic.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
As soon as you got the National Guard, things escalated. Governor Newsom's right. There wasn't anything like a riot happening on Friday, Saturday. The thing that provoked this was not yet anything that approached riot standards. The LA Police Department, police commissioner yesterday said, that he would reevaluate. He didn't want the National Guard initially. If they start to look like riots, and if they seem to be out of control and they're violent, the politics favor the administration, and the administration can provoke those with perfect discipline on the Trump side. They can provoke those scenes on the streets to be more violent.
Where's your decency, Mr. President? Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional. And I said it. I'll say it again. It's immoral. You're creating the conditions that you claim you're solving, and you're not.
Activists, all of them activists posing, in the case of most of them, as journalists. There's Governor Newsom. He's a governor. But here we've come full circle. Now the problem once again is law enforcement. It's the ICE agents. It's the National Guard. It's upholding law and order. That's the problem. Their soldiers have taken to the streets, and they're waving foreign flags, and they're destroying parts of Southern California, and they're fine with it. They're actually on. How hard is this? This man wants to run for president, Gavin Newsom. What a position he's putting himself in. He's siding with the illegals. He's siding with the ones that are destroying Los Angeles. This is his state. He's responsible for California. It's amazing to watch this play out, to see the same, you can predict and know the way they'll cover it just based on what's happening. Of course, January 6th, they were all insurrectionists. This time around, they're mostly having fun. They're just watching cars burn. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with these people? You can see the desperate need, as I covered last week, for God's government to fill this earth. Full circle. Now we're back to the protesters, the violent rioters. They just need space to destroy. That's all. Let them destroy a few things. Let the child have the temper tantrum. And it'll eventually die out. I mean, a few people might die and a few buildings might burn. But just let it play out. How many times did they say that about city after city after city in the summer of love that went up in flames? I mean, actual insurrections. And then these city mayors, Minneapolis. It was unbelievable to hear them basically side with the rioters. And these poor people in downtown cities, big cities, that lost all of their places for shopping and getting groceries. Some of them didn't have public transportation available. In the morning brief, protesters waving Mexican flags, burned police cars, and driverless Waymo cars shut down the freeway and looted shops. At least 56 were arrested over the weekend. Donald Trump calls in 2,000 members of California's National Guard, and as you heard there in that montage, everybody blames that. Everybody blames upholding law and order for the problems. How do you sit down and teach people like that? What are they going to, as they say, what will they say when Jesus Christ returns to this earth with a rod of iron, a flaming sword, to restore law and order to this earth? Well, you're provoking violence. No, he's actually going to bring peace. It's going to take war to begin with. But once mankind finally and completely submits to God's authority, peace will spread over all the earth. In the morning brief, it says migration was the subject of 2 Trumpet covers last year. I mean, we've been right on this. Tomorrow's news today. So it's not surprising to see it continue to be a big deal as President Trump tries to get control of America's borders and send home just some of the millions who have flooded in recent years. It quotes from the Trumpet, "Look how much damage a few thousand George Floyd rioters did in 2020. We wrote last year, imagine how much worse it would be if millions of illegal aliens revolted. America has entered a truly dangerous period in its nearly 250-year history." I mean, my father's made the point before that the illegals were, Obama's foot soldiers. It's his military force. And you look at the images coming out of SoCal. They're all young, military-aged men, just like we were telling you all through the Biden years, the fake presidency. As the people streaming across the border were young, military-aged men, not families fleeing persecution, seeking asylum. No, just young men from Mexico, from Central America, South America, China, Afghanistan, all over the place. An army of soldiers. One person tweeted this weekend, "These foreign flag rioters established beyond a reasonable doubt for purposes of the 14th Amendment's birthright citizenship clause, the Democrats' army of illegal alien invaders do not view themselves as subject to the jurisdiction of the United States." I mean, that's bad enough in and of itself. But then that the regime media, actual Americans would get on TV and support them, support the invasion. That's what it is. It's an invasion. It's an army. And this is just a localized event thus far, Southern California, Los Angeles. What would happen, though, if it was right across the country? There's 20 million illegals here. It's not to say that all of them are looking to burn cities down. But there's a violent element in those 20 million, that's for sure. And that's what ICE is trying to get rid of. I mean, we're only 6 months into Donald Trump's presidency, and the ones they're trying to capture are the murderers, the rapists, the robbers. And you hear stories. I mean, it's every day now. A drunk illegal that kills a family or a police officer. How could anyone in their right mind support this kind of violence and mayhem? You can see why Donald Trump has such strong support just from ordinary Americans that want to see our cities safer. Listen to Fox News on the weekend in LA, clip 10.
The president is warning California officials not to stand in the way of law and order as the demonstrations and riots in the Los Angeles area are entering their fourth day now. President Trump has superseded California Governor Gavin Newsom, calling in hundreds of National Guard troops to back up law enforcement agencies. LA's police chief said his officers were being pelted with everything from fireworks to cinder blocks.
We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers.
President Trump would have none of it. Writing on Truth Social, I am directing the Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies, to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. California Governor Gavin Newsom, meantime, said Trump was acting as a dictator. Writing on X, I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command.
We're living at a time when we have to liberate Los Angeles from a migrant invasion. And for Gavin Newsom's part, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're taking the side of the rioters, not law enforcement. No, certainly not. Not ICE, not the National Guard. They are opposing Donald Trump and law and order and siding with the rioters, just like they did in the Summer of Love. It's justified. We need violence. We've got to make a statement. Remember AOC in 2020? We've got to do this to get some attention. Well, now, I mean, it's not George Floyd protesters. They're illegals waving foreign flags. It's an invasion. And you've got prominent left-wing leaders siding with the invaders. Mr. Armstrong wrote in 1968, this is from The Plain Truth, long time ago, Tomorrow's News Today. It says, because mankind has turned from and lost all contact with his maker, and the instruction book our maker made accessible, society has lost its way. You know, I keep repeating Isaiah 59 and verse 8. We don't know the way to peace. The way we are currently going is causing trouble and violence and division and strife. Society has lost its way. It says, I said before, there's a cause for every effect. Society today does not know the cause that will produce peace. It has lost the way that would produce happiness, universal and abundant well-being. It is in rebellion against the way that would bring it what it really wants. Peace, happiness, abundant well-being, security. It strives to get those results while rebelling against the way to have them. You see it in all these clips I've been playing. Yeah, we talk about peace and security and safety and happiness and joy, but we go about attaining them man's way, Satan's way, certainly not God's way. God's way is the way of obeying law and orderliness. That's what God authors, and Satan's been fighting against that from the beginning, ever since he rebelled against God as Lucifer and became Satan the devil. Listen to Fox Business as they report on these riots. This is clip 12.
Breaking news this morning, there is chaos right now in Los Angeles as violent protests and riots breaking out in opposition of ICE raids carried out by those teams there. Of course, this is all for President Trump's promise to the American people when it comes to illegal immigration. Over 2,000 protesters were seen on the 101 freeway waving Mexican flags and lighting Waymo cars on fire. At least 27 people were arrested yesterday.
What we're seeing in LA is chaos caused by the administration. People should exercise their right to protest. That's their First Amendment right. But people should also exercise that right peacefully. We do not want to play into the administration's hands. We're working with officials, we're organizing resources, but what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration.
Governor Gavin Newsom wasting no time referring to the president as a dictator on X. He's also set to sue the administration today.
Look, I think this is sort of, we've gone from defund the police to now block ICE. This is a sort of defund the police part 2, and they have similar origins, Cheryl. The origin being basically a distaste for law and order.
There you go. The USA Today opinion. It says here, the images of fires burning and smoking rising above the streets of LA make America's second largest city look like a war zone. That's what it looks like. It's not a bunch of young people having fun watching burning cars. They're wanting to cause more violence. They're wanting to burn more vehicles. It says here, but it's not war. It's what happens when a Republican president enforces the law in a state as far left, as lost as California. As far left and as lost as California, one of America's largest states. I mean, it used to be a pot of gold as far as American prosperity and wealth was concerned. Could have made it as one of the top 5 or 6 nations on earth if it was its own nation. Going back to the 1950s or 60s, everybody wanted to go to California. Well, now it's lost. It's far left. Its streets are filthy. It's being overtaken by foreign invaders. As many as 2 or 3 million of them in that state alone. It says here, a Department of Homeland Security news release on June 7 noted that ICE agents and their families have endured a surge in threats and harassment. See, look at how far the far left went on January 6 to say that all these police officers, even ones that died many, many weeks after the protest, died because of Trump supporters. They blamed it all on Trump. And now you've got law enforcement people being threatened for upholding the law, for removing illegals. Donald Trump is on the high ground here. And we'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show as I see the minutes fast evaporating for today's show. I want to leave some time, by the way, for about 4.5 minutes of feedback to Celtic Throne last night in Tel Aviv. A mega montage of CT feedback. You'll want to enjoy that at the end of the show. Make sure that you stay tuned. It says here, but progressive states like California and Democratic leaders like Newsom and former President Joe Biden have ignored our immigration laws. They sent a clear message to people all over the world that the border was open and millions took advantage of that fact to enter our country illegally. And some of those millions came in for the express purpose of carrying out acts of violence, taking advantage of the system, burdening the U.S. welfare system, that members of Congress just want to keep pouring trillions into. No time. There's no time to deal with fraud and waste and abuse. I thought that was amazing over the weekend, too, getting that tweet from Jack Posobiec. He said, this was on Sunday, I think it was. He says, America can survive a budget deficit. It cannot survive a mass invasion. And I mean, he got all the, I love Jack Posobiec. I love his tweets. He's very conservative. But he's basically saying, look, we can only deal with the foreign invasion. We can't actually cut fraud, waste, and abuse at the same time. What? Why not? Why not close the border and reduce fraud, waste, and abuse? I mean, look at the size of federal government. You can't have someone like Elon Musk and his team actually point out, look, there's some pretty big sins here. Let's just get rid of it. No, can't do it because we've got a big, beautiful bill that just keeps the status quo in place. This world is not God's world. That 68 Plain Truth article by Herbert Armstrong talking about not knowing the way to peace. It says this accelerating moral cancer eating away at our sick society signals the end of the world. I mean, this is the hope. The fact that this present evil world, read it in Galatians 1:4. This present evil world is coming to an end. Thank God every day for that. It's almost over. We're very near to the beginning of God's new world, the wonderful world of tomorrow. Now, you can put a beautiful stamp on that for sure, because it's actually real. It's not just a fake name or label or term. It's not a lie. It's really real. It's a beautiful, peaceful, loving world. It's coming. If you don't have that book, The Wonderful World Tomorrow, what it will be like, make sure you request your free copy today. Mr. Armstrong said, our marriage and home relationships are breaking up. And when a right and healthy home and family relationship with dad at the helm, the children in respectful obedience, all honoring, obeying, and worshiping God, I should say, then when this goes, civilization goes. We're witnessing a total breakdown, not just of the institution of family, a total breakdown of civilization. Elsewhere, Mr. Armstrong said the threat that this breakdown poses, it's greater than the hydrogen bomb. Well, as it happens, there's also hydrogen bomb threats. The world's full of them. But you look at what we're doing to ourselves. We're destroying ourselves. What was that verse I used repeatedly last week? Hosea 13:9. Oh, Israel, I mean, you're destroying yourself. You're doing this to yourself. So much of it. And you see it. You see it in the swamp. You see it in Los Angeles. You see it with years and years and years of wide open borders and decades and decades and decades of overspending, of printing money, of borrowing from the Chinese. And where is it leading? How much longer can this last? My father wrote an article, this is back in 2014. People are getting whipped into a frenzy of hatred and violence. This is something the devil knows how to exploit. He's the god of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4. And he knows how to work on people's emotions. It says here, as America rejects the law of the land, the result will be anarchy and destruction. Wherever there's lawlessness, wherever we reject the law of the land, well, you can expect anarchy and destruction. And we're getting a little bit of a foretaste of what's coming on a mass scale. I won't get into that. I don't have time, but we'll look at that later perhaps. But we're getting a bit of a foretaste, a preview on the streets of Los Angeles over these last few days. When we come back, we will conclude today's show with an extended version of Celtic Throne feedback from Tel Aviv, Israel. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We'll be right back.
Daily news, Bible prophecy. See the connection on the Trumpet Daily. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the flood of news and information? You need something to sift the news and bring you only what matters most. You need the Trumpet Daily. You also need something to help you understand not just what's happening now, but what will happen next. You need the Trumpet Daily. Only the Trumpet Daily accurately matches daily news to precise Bible prophecies. Because Bible prophecy is the only tool up to the task of sifting the news down to what's important and showing you what will happen next. Join host Stephen Fleury every weekday. Go to trumpetdaily.com.
Amazing, amazing, having a great time.
So good. I love it.
It's good. Been to a couple of shows in the past of Irish dancing, and I think this show very nice in comparison.
The show is amazing. We love it.
Lord of the Dance, but this 3 times higher than Lord of the Dance. And we are seeing also the one after Lord. This one, absolutely fantastic. It's unbelievably good. And to see the children, how can they perform so good? Unbelievable. It was very good. I could go and see it again. Especially Ireland. They are not very popular here.
Yeah, no.
But this, excellent. We love it.
Fantastic. It's blows your mind away. You just can't believe that they can dance like that and such. All together, it's fantastic.
We enjoyed it very much. It's magnificent.
Excellent, amazing, simply amazing. We enjoyed it a lot.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, it's great.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, it's wow. It's the first time I see it, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. One of the greatest. Thank you very much.
Superb. The music, the costumes, the dancing, excellent.
תודה רבה. מאוד, משהו.
It was beautiful. We were so happy that you came here, and and to hear your background is also super interesting. So we really enjoyed it, and we really appreciate you to coming and giving us a brief, a brief break from hectic life over here and imagining some other fantasy life.
And stand with Israel, really.
Yes, so really appreciate you coming here at this time and giving us this beautiful joy of yours.
It was amazing. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having the bravery to come.
Thank you very much for
thank
coming.
you very much.
They're all very talented. And we really can feel Ireland through the music and the dancing and everything. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Fantastic. I saw river dance here maybe 20 years ago or something, and I've always loved Irish music and Irish dancing. Unreal. Thank you for coming to Israel. Amazing. I love it.
I really loved the music and the dancing. It was amazing. And thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Amazing, really amazing. I didn't believe that you can dance like that. Unbelievable. Yeah. Really unbelievable. I saw all the Irish group, like Lord of the Dance, Spirit of the Dance, all the dance that are coming from Ireland, I'm coming. Because I like steps also. It's a kind of step and I like it very much. It's unbelievable. Amazing. Magic. Really.
A beautiful show. Thank you.
It was touching. It was thrilling. Even the little one liked it very much. She bumped it.
It was great. It was fabulous. It was amazing. We had so much fun, and we're so glad that we came to this show.
It was amazing, just amazing. We enjoyed it so much, really. One of the best shows I've ever been to, really.
The show was excellent, the best that I have all my life. And I've been twice in Ireland.
Nice. And here it's better.
All my body is chilling, and I probably will see you again before you leave.
Yeah,
acrobats, music, songs, dancing.
Speechless.
And it's brilliant, brilliant. You must watch it everywhere in the world. Great show.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
It was really, really, really touching and perfect.
Thank you.
We recommend.
The show was beautiful, beautiful. I will come to Ireland for this.
Thank you for coming to Israel. It's not simple, I know. And I appreciate it very much.